What up, No Nation? It's your guy, Kelvin Hunt, editor of ChopChat.com. Built for Playmakers YouTube channel. Hope you guys are doing well. If this is your first time checking us out, welcome. Appreciate you guys giving us a shot. Going to be talking about the Wake Forest game in this episode. This is the one. This is the one that I wanted. Obviously, you got your rivalry games with Miami and Florida, but of all the games on the schedule aside from those two, this is the one. And if you watch the preseason predictions, I talked about how Wake Forest was likely going to see a significant drop off based on who they lost from last year's team. And that is indeed what we have seen thus far from the first 7 weeks. Wake Forest is 4-3, very lucky to be 4-3, easily could have lost last week's game against Pitt. Should have lost last week's game against Pitt, but miraculous things have happened for certain teams this year, and that was one of those. So going to get into some film breakdown. Going to look at a couple of things that Wake Forest will do offensively and defensively. Going to talk a little bit about how I expect the game to go, and I'm gonna go from there. So yeah, man. So if you can, go ahead and hit that like button for me. You guys have been great the last few weeks with supporting the content. Last episode did major numbers, and so really appreciate that. So yeah, hit the like button, and we're gonna go ahead and jump into this without wasting any more time. All right. So with Wake Forest, basically, if you've seen them before, if you're an FSU fan, you're familiar with what they do with the slow mesh play. Basically, you're gonna have three things to worry about. You're gonna have, they're either gonna do slow mesh and hand the ball off. They're gonna run slow mesh and try to run a pass play off of that. Or they're going to do slow mesh and the quarterback's going to keep it and try to run if he sees a lane that opens, right? So this is what we're going to be dealing with. And FSU struggled to stop Wake Forest last year, mainly because they were without Fabian Lovett there, and they had to play a bunch of young guys. Jared Verse wasn't 100%. He had just gotten hurt in the Louisville game, and so he had a defensive front that was, at far less than 100%. And Wake Forest had a bunch of old guys on their team, similar to how Duke is this year. They had Sam Hartman, who is since at Notre Dame, very experienced quarterback, experienced running backs. So a bunch of old guys. We talked about that in the preseason, how once Dave Clawson lost all of that experience, they want to fall back to earth, and here we are. So Wake Forest's offensive line is way, way worse than it was last year. They have given up 31 sacks this season through 7 games. They only gave up 38 sacks all last year through 13 games. They've already allowed, I think it's 61 tackles for a loss, right? So FSU should do well in the trenches in this game. So we're going to go ahead and roll this clip, and you'll see. That's pretty much just a handoff. They didn't do slow mesh there, but you'll see that Clemson set the edge there and held them to like a 3-yard gain. So you'll see that every now and then, just to kind of catch guys off guard and whatnot. So here, I think this is the one where the quarterback scrambles. So you see how he rides him there. He sees the opening. Ride. He's looking. Oh, there's a gap. And he scrambles for a gain. So this is, and you see how Wake Forest's 54 has this guy. He's turned him. He's open. There's a hole there. Linebacker comes down and fills the gap there. So it's it's 1-on-1. and looks like the running back chipped him. Let me see. Yeah, running back saves him, saves the quarterback there. Otherwise, he would have gotten splashed. And that happened quite a bit in this game. Clemson, they lived in the backfield in this game. It was more so the offense for Clemson turning the ball over, which is customary for their offense this year, and why they didn't beat Wake Forest like a drum. This was the game where I was at the FSU game in Tally, and I remember after the game seeing the score at 17-12 at the end, and I was like, what in the world? How is that possible? So yeah, so you got some of that. Here's the slow mesh deep shot play. So see, he's riding, and he's gonna look at this guy right here. He sees that he has him one-on-one, and they know this guy here is gonna come and clear out here. And so he's gonna try to lead him down the field there. You know, so that's a play that FSU, those one-on-ones last year, they lost like 90% of the time. I mean, it was so frustrating that FSU had, DBs in position to make plays or to knock the pass away, and Wake Forest had some very experienced guys, some NFL guys at receiver, and they just made a play. That is not the case this year. Matter of fact, Wake Forest has lost two of their top guys. One of them, they got injured before the season even started, and so they're down two of their top guys at receiver. I had a tweet earlier this week where I talked about how FSU had only allowed 3 touchdown passes all season. None of them have come against the first team starting defense. And when I say that, I mean one was against LSU when the backups were in, the last touchdown they scored. The other 2 came when Akeem Denton was out against Boston College and Clemson. Pretty much teams were picking on Kevin Knowles. So, secondary is definitely no fly zone. DBU back in the building. So, I don't think that Wake Forest should be able to do much in the passing game here against FSU, especially if the defensive line can get some pressure on the quarterback. But those are the type of things they want to try to create, though. Those one-on-ones, get a shot play, or pick up a defensive pass interference call. We saw that a couple of times last year too. And the game's at Wake, so you go ahead and get ready. You're probably gonna have a couple calls go against you. Just go ahead and accept it. It's Wake Forest, so a very disciplined team, so to speak. This particular play, Wake Forest tries to get the edge again, and you'll see Clemson sets the edge. So look, this play is reminiscent of last week against Duke. FSU didn't set the edge, and you saw what happened. Plus, there was a whole bunch of holding. I pointed those out in the last video. But watch how they just spilled this, and the running back keeps looking for a lane, and there's really just nothing. He does a good job of falling forward for a yard, but yeah, that's how you got to play that, man. And Wake Forest, their backs aren't as good as what Duke has. Yeah. So, all right. So that's what you got to look for on Wake Forest's offense. Slow mesh, up the gut, off tackle, slow mesh, quarterback design run, scramble if he sees an opening, slow mesh to, a one-on-one target downfield. That's pretty much their offense. Now, defensively, the defense for Wake Forest is their best unit. They are a top 50 unit. And if you listen to Dave Clawson's press conference this week, he noted that FSU is one of the most explosive teams. He also noted how Duke played FSU, basically trying to prevent the explosive plays, making FSU execute down the field. And I would assume you're probably going to see that approach from Wake Forest. Here you see they have, against Clemson, and Clemson doesn't have the receivers that FSU has. They have their two safeties back here, two linebackers, their DBs over here. But watch, this is a 3rd and 2 play. Watch how hard these linebackers trigger downfield, okay? And this is going to come into play later in another clip. But they are aggressive in the run game, and they're pretty good against the run. They only allow like 3 point some yards per carry on the season. So watch how this guy in particular shoots the gap. Yeah, it's short, stocky little guy, just shoots the gap and runs it down from behind. So this is a game where they shut Trey Benson down last year. I think Trey Benson had like 20 yards. But this was also before Benson was still really comfortable in the offense, and before he went on those string of just crazy games of 100 rushing yards, excuse me. But they fly to the ball so aggressively. They would be the type of defense that would make Benson stop and go and slow him down. I think this is going to be, if they have any success in the run game, where Rodney Hill, or I would love to see Keziah Holmes in this one. I think their running style would be better suited to attack what Wake Forest tries to do. Okay, so we're going to move over to this one. So this is something I noticed, especially in the red zone. If Jordan Travis wanted to run in this game, they probably won't run him. They probably won't need to run him. Most of the damage that teams do against Wake Forest is through the air, but Wake Forest, their ends are whenever they're in condensed spaces, they crash down. They crash hard. Watch how hard this guy crashes, and Klubnik just keeps the read and walks into the end zone. Look at that, bro. He didn't even. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking about. I guess he was thinking he could have been thinking that this guy here was going to come and fill that gap, and that may have been possible. I don't know what the play call was, but he crashes down also, and this it's just a walk into the end zone. But again, even still, if this guy crashes hard like that, and it's still a one-on-one with Jordan Travis, and you take that, any day of the week, I like my chances with Jordan to beat that guy in space. So something to look for in the red zone, just in case they have to pull it out. All right. So how I talked about the linebackers just being aggressive and coming downhill. This is another instance where they're like they did against Duke. FSU made a lot of plays in the middle of the field. Here you see they're playing off coverage, got two safeties deep, and you're gonna have these two guys here. Klubnik actually probably throws it to the wrong guy. He completes the pass, but it's short of the first down. Whereas if he'd hit this guy here, and you'll see this guy's frustrated at the end of this play, he just throws his hands up like, bruh, like I was wide the hell open. Watch this play. Watch these linebackers, and then watch these receivers come and fill this gap or this void.
To start this second half, now Klubnik to throw. Goes to his progression. Receiver fell down, but he was still to start.
So this guy.
This second half, now Klubnik to.
So look at 10 right here, his hands up. So this guy, he fell. Now if he hadn't fallen, he probably would have caught the ball. You got this guy come across. So three guys are right here in this void, wide open. But you probably want to hit this guy, and he would have gotten the first down.
Throw. Goes to his progression. Receiver fell
so
down.
You got that. You got that all day against Wake Forest.
Half, now Klubnik to throw. Goes to his progression. Receiver fell
all day
down,
long if you want. Jaheim Bell should have another monster game.
Now Klubnik to throw.
Whoever's in the slot should have a monster game. I like the running backs to have another monster game, like Torrey Philly. Their linebackers can't hang with FSU's running backs.
Goes to his progression, receiver fell down.
So this should be a game that Jordan Travis throws for quite a bit of yardage, I would think. Wake Forest has allowed 300 passing yards in the last 2 games against Virginia Tech, and we know that Virginia Tech's quarterback can't really throw it. And then Pitt is playing a backup guy since Jerkovich is not the quarterback anymore. So both guys threw for 300. So Jordan Travis should have a field day out there. So here, now Wake Forest is multiple on defense. Sometimes you see them in a 4-down front. Sometimes they'll go to a 3-3-5. And this particular play, I think this got dropped. Let me see. I can't remember. So no, they rush 4. But you see these guys pull, and they are able to open up a gap. So this is something that FSU does well also. And Shipley, he hit another run right behind this one, almost the exact same play. But if we see Wake Forest going that 3-3-5 stack, attacking them on the edge like you saw FSU do against Syracuse, that's going to be there all day. So pay attention to if you see Wake Forest rushing 3 and dropping 8. You could see Jordan Travis checking to a run, depending on what the down and distance is. But FSU's offensive line is banged up, so this is a game though that they still should be able to create some opportunities. Wake Forest isn't deep, so even if they don't have much success in the running game early, you should see an encore of what we saw against Duke, where you just kind of wear the smaller team down late, and just basically impose your will. In this particular game, like I said, I think they're going to try to run the ball. Wake Forest is going to try to run the ball, keep the clock going, slow the game down. Although they do run a lot of plays, but they run the ball a lot too. So the clock's going to be running. Like I said, on defense, they're going to try to make FSU execute, double-digit play drives down the field. That's something that we've seen FSU, be able to do a bit more over the last 2 weeks. So you've seen more teams, play 2 safeties back and try to prevent those explosive plays, because frankly, that's something that FSU has struggled with over the first few weeks in the season. They were forcing the ball deep to Keon and Johnny Wilson, and prayers out to Johnny Wilson. I doubt he'll play this week. I don't think he should play. I think they should hold him out until the Miami game. But Johnny Wilson not being available has kind of unlocked that intermediate game that Jordan Travis had down pat last year. And I mean, whenever he's taken, those intermediate routes and they got the running game going, I mean, then that's what I thought we would have seen all year from the FSU offense. I was thinking, everybody before the season was talking about how this should be an elite offense, and it is in a lot of respects. But then too, with them forcing the ball deep earlier in the season, that made them get into a lot of situations where they were 2nd and 11, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11, and it's hard to consistently convert those 3rd down opportunities. I don't care how good your offense is, but over the last few weeks, especially since the bye week, we've seen FSU become a bit more efficient, have more success on early downs, and make those 3rd down conversions a bit more manageable. Although even in the first half against Duke, on that first scoring drive, I mean, Jordan Travis converted some major plays. I mean, it was like 3rd and 11. There was a 2nd and 20 where he hit Jaheim Bell, over the middle for a first down. He hit Kyle Morlock for a 22-yard game, I think it was. So there's still some stuff to clean up, but I think that's what we're going to see from FSU this week. That's what we're going to have to see from FSU this week. Just more efficiency and executing long drives, unless Wake Forest turns the ball over. That is something they have done a tremendous amount this year. They have turned the ball over, I think it's 11 times, multiple fumbles, multiple interceptions, and FSU has forced a turnover in every game this year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully, we can get some short fields and take advantage of that and go ahead and score and get up early on these guys and get some younger guys in there in this game and let the starters rest and go from there. Also, Wake Forest's offense is, just talking in general here, Wake Forest's offense is awful in the red zone. They only score touchdowns, I think it's 37% of the time. Like I said, they just don't have the talent in the trenches to move guys off the ball. They don't have the talent at wide receiver. If they get down there and score, it's probably going to be some type of trickery of some sort, or just a busted play where, somebody's wide open or whatever. Or, it could be they get on the 2-yard line and, somehow get it in or whatever. But, if they're on the 20 and then trying to go from there to score a touchdown, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to find some success. I know stats-wise, Jared Verse has been quiet. He's played a great season. He's had a great season so far. If you're a casual guy and you're looking at the stats don't necessarily reflect that, but the guy's getting double and triple team every week. This could be a game that Jared Verse breaks out and has a couple sacks, especially if FSU is able to get up early and force Wake Forest to start putting the ball in the air a bit more than they want to. So look for Jared Verse to eat in this game. I like to see Fabian Lovett, Joshua Farmer, eat up that mesh play. I think it was my guy Grillmaster 95. I had a question on the community board. By the way, guys, make sure y'all start checking out that community board because I post stuff in there, just stats, some videos, stuff that I don't want to write a whole article on chopchat.com. So sometimes I'll just post stuff in the community board. So make sure you check that out for some other content if I don't have any videos popping. But yeah, Grillmaster 95 was like, how is Wake Forest going to do with a slow mesh this season against FSU? And they should struggle in this matchup. Like I said, their offensive line has regressed significantly, and FSU's defensive line is much better and has much better depth than they had last year. So it is a 12 o'clock kickoff in Winston-Salem. I live 2 hours from Winston. I've been there. It is a game they're going to have to get themselves up for. You might have more FSU fans there than Wake Forest fans, and but this is one I want, man. Those Wake Forest fans that were talking all that smack in the preseason when FSU was talking about leaving the conference, and Wake Forest was talking about how they've been better than FSU over the past few years, and they've beaten FSU 3 times in a row, and how they have the fastest growing brand in the ACC. Bruh. when their AD posted that on social media, I was like, by what metric are we talking about? I'm like, there is no metric on earth that would support that. And it's almost like he was like, you know what, man, I'm just going to put that lie out there just because I can. And here we are, seven games into the season, and Wake Forest ain't been thought about. I mean, they ain't been in any games worth noting. People are going to watch this game because they're playing FSU. So, man, those Wake Forest fans were talking cash money junk. Oh, my goodness. But this is where FSU puts those little guys in their place. It's like an analogy where you got, the big brother and little, there's like a 15-year gap between the big brother and the little brother. And the little brother comes by, and he wants to hit the big brother in the back of the head, and wants to jump on his back and all that good stuff. And then the big brother's like, man, whatever, I don't really care, I'm not interested in playing with you, whatever. And then after a little while, the little brother gets annoying, and big brother just smacks that joker, man, and gets him on up out of there. That's what's going to happen on Saturday, and everything's going to be restored to its rightful order. And I think Dave Clawson has done a really good job at Wake Forest, but I think he probably is peaked in what he's going to do there. He had, like I said before the season, he's had a lot of favorable things to help him reach the level that he reached with Wake Forest. But again, credit to him and in doing that, taking advantage of those situations. But it's going to be pretty difficult for him to get them back up to where they were over the last few years. FSU has gotten their act together. They're playing big boy football. Miami seems to be in a better place than where they were. Clemson looks to be free falling a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how they finish this season. They still have games against Notre Dame and North Carolina, so that's going to be interesting. They could really finish with like 5 losses. That's tough. That's tough, man. So so Wake Forest is going to be relegated back to the slums where they belong. And whenever FSU leaves the ACC, which will probably be in a couple of years, if not before, they'll be stuck in purgatory, and who knows? They probably won't even receive an invite to the Big 12 or anywhere like that. So, shout out to Wake Forest and those 2 fans that root for them online. After the game, I'm going to get online and pull my bookmarks and laugh, delete them, and keep it moving, because I don't want them to think that this is a game that was our Super Bowl or anything like that. It's basically an example of, hey, you're gonna get this work like you're supposed to. We playing for real now. This is big boy football, and put you in your place, and we're gonna go from there. Keep this undefeated season going. Go on the road and handle Pitt next week. And, then get ready to give Miami that loss. And speaking of Miami, I'm going to speak on them real quick. Miami fans been talking real reckless, which is what else is new, right? What else is new? But again, like usual, there's a lot of false confidence from where they are right now. They easily could have lost against Clemson last week. Clemson pretty much beat themselves against Miami the same way that they beat themselves against Duke. Multiple turnovers. And Clemson's offense, even if TVD comes back, if Miami's offense, even if TVD comes back, they are not the offense that they think they are. They haven't played anybody really aside from Clemson. And it took them overtime to score, 20 some odd 26 points or whatever. It had 17 in regulation. So it was with a backup quarterback, but TVD is nothing special. I like our chances whether he plays or not. If he doesn't play, it's definitely a dub. If he plays, it's still going to be a dub. And defensively, Miami's only played 2 teams that have an offense ranked in the top 20. That's Texas A&M, and that's North Carolina. And both of those teams dropped 30-plus points on Miami. FSU's offense is ranked number 12 by FEI standards. They're going to drop 30-plus on Miami. I don't think Miami's offense is going to score 30-plus on us. Matter of fact, FSU hasn't allowed more than 24 points all season. And that was against Clemson. And that was when they had Akeem Dent missing, and we had number 3 out there getting abused. And so when FSU's had their guys out there, the starting guys out there, hey man, they're tough. They're tough. I don't think Miami has the guys to take advantage of the weaknesses that FSU has. I don't. They got a good running back and a good O line, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be enough. So let them play Virginia this week, and hopefully Mario don't cough up another win. And I don't know who they have after that, but basically, in 2 weeks, we'll go ahead and show those boys what's up. And then from there, it's take care of North Alabama and then take care of Florida in the swamp. And then we're going to the college football playoffs, baby. Yes, sir. But yeah, so Wake Forest, FSU should handle these guys. I'm going with a score of 37-13. See FSU probably be a little closer than you think early on, but I think FSU probably break away before halftime and then go ahead and put it on in the second half. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully some backups get into play and the starters can rest and get out of there healthy and on to the next one. So if you can, go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't. And again, appreciate the support. And until next time, go Noles.